Well, joining me now is that Tom from Atlanta, the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Tom Price. Secretary Price, welcome back to the show, sir.
Chuck.
I know you still have a job.
Good to be with you.
You still have a job. I assume the president was a little bit tongue-in-cheek. But let me ask you, let me start there. Ask yourself this, what could you have done differently? I'm sure you're asking yourself that, considering what happened this past week. What could you have done differently to have a different outcome?
Well, I think what the president has explained and punctuates is his seriousness about this issue and his passion for turning the healthcare system in a direction that puts patients first, not government and not insurance companies. We've all got a lot of work to do. We've continued to work with members of the United States Senate. We look forward to continuing to work with them and our House partners as well to make certain that we move this healthcare system in that better direction where patients and families and doctors are in charge, not Washington, D.C.
You know, it's interesting. There was a headline this morning in the Washington Post that I'm curious if you accept the premise of. And the headline was simple. It's not Obamacare anymore. It's our national health care system. Do you accept that the attempts to repeal the Affordable Care Act as we know it are dead, and now your job and the job of Republicans is to make the system work better?
Well, no, I don't accept the premise because we don't have a healthcare system. We've got about 5 healthcare systems. You've got Medicare for seniors, Medicaid for those individuals who are low income or vulnerable or disabled. You got the employer-sponsored coverage where most individuals in this nation, about 175 million, get their coverage. You got the VA system, and then you have the individual and small group market where Obamacare focused its attention on setting up the exchanges. And it's that area where we've seen absolute failure. We've got 40% of the counties in this nation that only have one issue or one insurance company providing coverage, so that's no choice at all. Next year, you'll have dozens of counties that have nobody offering coverage. So this system is imploding. It is failing. And the president's passion, our concern is to make certain that we put in place a system that actually works for patients.
Look, you were an elected official. You know how politics works. You know how to count votes. You know where the votes are. It's pretty clear a full repeal can't be done. It's pretty clear somehow rescinding the Medicaid expansion that the support is not there. So what's realistic? What do you ask Congress to do now? What is one thing that you want Congress to do right now that's doable, that's realistic, that can help you implement the Affordable Care Act better?
Well, what we want Congress to do is to go home and talk to their constituents. Talk to the families out there that are losing their coverage. Talk to the families who are making $50,000 a year and have an insurance card through Obamacare, but they don't have any care because they can't afford the deductible. Talk to the small businesses that are having to end their health care coverage for their employees because of the rules coming from Obamacare. Talk to the large businesses who are having huge challenges affording the health coverage for their employees. This is a system that is imploding and has failed the American people. That's where the president's passion comes from. That's where my passion comes from, to move us in a direction that we actually put in place a system that works for patients, works for the American people.
All right, with all due respect, you gave me an explanation of what you'd like to see, but you didn't give me a specific, and I want to ask you about a specific that the president tweeted about. He said this yesterday: if a new health care bill is not approved quickly, bailouts for insurance companies and bailouts for members of Congress will end very soon. Now, he appears to be referring to these payments that your department has been making monthly, and I know there is some legal questions about whether this has been appropriated by the legislative branch or not, but the insurance companies have said this month-to-month reimbursement of propping up the insurance markets is creating more uncertainty, and they would like to see some yearly certainty there. Can you say for certain that all of these insurance payments are going to be made every single month while the Affordable Care Act is law?
Well, Chuck, as you know and your viewers know, this is a case that's in court, and the case is House v. Price. So I'm the defendant in that, and therefore I can't talk about it. What I can tell you, though, is that the court has made a decision that those payments were made illegally, and that's working its way through the court system, and it will. But again, what the president wants us to appreciate and wants everybody across this land to appreciate is that the system is being propped up in a way that makes it so it's not working for people. It's not working for those small businesses. It's not working for those families across this land. It's not working for patients. It's not working for physicians who are trying to care for those those patients. So we're trying to put in place, trying to get a system that actually does work for patients and families and doctors so they're making decisions, not Washington, D.C.
Do you feel it is your job at HHS to implement the Affordable Care Act as it was meant to be, or are you there to, some people think you don't want to see it work, so that's why we've seen canceled TV advertising, the attempts to not get people to enroll, the canceling of contracts that helped with enrollment. And so some have accused that you do not want to see it work as it was intended. Can you explain?
Yeah, no, our job is to follow the law of the land, and we take that mission very, very seriously. And the role of the Health and Human Services Department is to improve the health, the safety, and the well-being of the American people. And what we understand, what the American people understand, is that their health and well-being is being harmed right now by the current law. And so our goal is to put in place, as well as the president's goal, is to put in place a law, a system that actually works for patients. You can't do that under the current structure. You can't do that just with regulation. It requires an act of Congress, and that's why the president has been so passionate about making certain that the Congress of the United States repeals and replaces Obamacare.
But Secretary Price, I understand that, but it's clear the votes aren't there. So if they come up with a fix that helps essentially give some certainty to the insurance companies to go into rural markets, are you then going to implement the Affordable Care Act as it was meant to be, including encouraging people to sign up, encouraging enrollment, encouraging Medicaid expansion?
Well, as I said, our responsibility is to follow the law. And again, we take that responsibility seriously, and we will continue to do so. But remember that the current law right now is failing the American people. As I mentioned, I think we've got 40 counties across this, 40 counties that will no longer have any insurance company next year. That's not a choice for anybody. You've got a third of the counties right now that only have one insurance company providing coverage. That's not a choice for anybody. You've got premiums that are up, deductibles that are up, people having that insurance card and no care. Got insurers fleeing the market. 83 insurance companies fled the health insurance market last year. That's before this administration came in. This system is imploding upon itself, and that's what we're trying to take care of. That's what the president has said. That's why we need repeal and replace.
All right, Secretary Price, I'm going to have to leave it there, run out of time a little bit. I appreciate you coming on and sharing
Thanks,
your views,
Chuck.
sir.